So what's up, guys? For the final project, I did a research paper, and I did it on social media's effect on society. And I chose that because we kind of briefly talked about it this year, like social media and all, but it really like stood out to me like when we went over it, and kind of like the things that really affect you in your everyday life that you don't really even notice do. So some of the things I talked about was kind of how social media impacts younger people, and it can even affect older people too, but the way it affects younger people is like your childhood, um, negative and positive ways. I mean, it could affect you if you know you're trying to meet new people. That could be a positive, but it could affect you by taking time away from your friends, and um, kind of just being drawn into staying on social media all day, and kind of losing track of time, and kind of wasting time too, because when you're on social media for an abundance of time, like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you really like lose yourself kind of over time, and you don't really notice it as a young kid. And the way it affects older people is it can affect them in good ways and negative ways as well. Like with the presidential election this year, this was the first year having it like all on social media, kind of really going off. So, and the election's more for older people, but um so that really had like a big effect with the like with adults and social media. um I also, one thing I really talked about in my research paper was how social media can affect you in a good way, such as like dating sites. So I said like Tinder is an example, Skype, a bunch of those ways to meet new people, and like help. That's more for older people too, but you know help them engage in conversations, and meet other people. um but another big thing with social media nowadays is everybody's perception, and how you want to be viewed, and how you want people to view you. And um it's really just it's a big problem nowadays, because you want to post on Instagram and look like Justin Bieber if you're a guy, and you want to look like Kendall Jenner if you're a girl, and you really you really just create an image in your head, and you feel that you have to give off that image when you post on Instagram and when you post on Facebook and Snapchat. And it's really not all about that. And like at the end of the day, it's really just about like who you are as a person. And social media, it does take away from that a lot of times, because you're always wondering, what are other people thinking of me? And you know you don't really think about it until someone really tells you how it affects you, or you see the outcome after numerous years. Like, for example, me, I was huge on Snapchat growing up, like always on Snapchat, always Snapchat a bunch of people, even people I didn't know. People would add me on Snapchat, I'm Snapchatting them. As I get older, I realize like there's really no point for that, because like, am I gonna see these people? Probably not. You know so it really doesn't really have an effect on you most of the time. I mean, it can. um the coronavirus was also one that I talked about for a while in my paper. The coronavirus pandemic, it's great having it, out in the news. You go on Twitter and you see everything going on with the pandemic. You see how many cases, you get to like track it, you get to know where the hot spots are. That's great to know, but it's also social media, stringing it out, and kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, just like the social media Kool-Aid, because you don't know what they're really giving off, and you don't know what's true, and you don't know what's not. But that's anywhere. That's social media in general. So, you got to be careful with what you see, because you never know what you're being told is true, or if you're being lied to. So, but it's definitely great with the coronavirus this year with social media, because you can, go on Instagram, and you can go on Twitter, and you can just see the updates, and kind of follow it, which is good, because it's a global pandemic. You would want to know that. Um, so social media has, as I talked about earlier, its effects on both, adults and adolescents. But um, when I was growing up, it was like when I was younger, elementary school, middle school. most kids didn't have a phone, especially elementary school. But middle school, that's when you start getting phones and you start, kind of branching out and, learning about them. But nowadays, I mean, I know like one of my good friends, his younger brother's in fourth grade or fifth grade, I think. And he already has a cell phone, he's on Snapchat, Instagram. And I think it's just way too young. And you can't really stop them because that's just how society is now. And there's nothing you can really do about it. But that's just the world we live in now. Another thing I talked about was, social media being created for the right reasons. To, put out gatherings and to have family events and post pictures with your family and even meet new people. It's great to meet new people online, but when you make that your lifestyle, that's not the way you want to go about it, because it's not a good image for you, and it's not the way to live your life. You should, go out and socialize. And I wish someone would have told me that sooner, because I wasted a lot of my time on social media, and I've really cut back, to be honest. I try and, stay off as much as I can unless it's something important. If it's one of my friends I'm talking to, if we're having a conversation, I'll definitely, engage in that, because that's kind of like a necessary thing. But I'm not just going to like go on Instagram and scroll for 3 hours and watch my screen time go up, because that's a big part of it too. When you look at your screen time, that'll really make you realize, what you're doing. It's just people are so obsessed with it. Another bad thing with social media, and especially younger kids, is the cyberbullying. It's bad. I mean, you used to, back in like the 80s, 90s, people tell you like you would go to school and get bullied. You would be walking, or you'd be at the playground and you'd be getting bullied. But like now it's social media, like people bash you behind a screen, and it's just not good. And that's why I feel you need to be on social media once you're a little bit more mature and you understand how to go about things, and you understand not to, come at people like that, and, have respect for one another. So that's definitely a big thing, is cyberbullying. That's what I talked about in my research paper. Even another thing is the privacy. If you're not on like a private account, or on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, or, if you're not on a private account, anybody can view your stuff, So there's a lot of bad people out there, and, people are going to try and, steal your information and try and, contact you that are overage, or, stuff like that. So you really don't know who you're getting yourself involved with. It could just be someone behind a screen that you don't even know. You think you know them and you don't. And that's a big problem, especially with younger kids, because they like to target those kind of kids, which isn't fair, but that's just, again, like I said, the world we live in now. I talked about Donald Trump a lot and Biden. I know I don't want to get into politics. I'm not going to say my side, but, Trump going on Twitter and, doing that, like talking about the media and all that, like that's not stuff that we really want to see. That's not good for our country. And, them saying Trump is racist, Biden's racist, it's just not a good look for us as America, because we all want to be like on the same page, but we can't because of the way we're fed things. And I wish it was different, but it's just not, and there's nothing we can really do. I talked about at the end the George Floyd thing, people going on about that, and the Black Lives Matter movement, which I support. I support with your guys' movement, and I'm with you guys. But posting like the riots and all, like the videos, we don't need to see that, and it gives off like a negative vibe that just isn't good for us, and that's just social media. And there needs to be a change, and that's what I tried to address in my paper with like the research I did, going on the library and doing all the keywords. I looked for as many articles as I could to try and get good articles to kind of get you guys to feel where I'm coming from. And I hope once I upload this and upload the video, you guys can understand like where I'm coming from, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree with me. And yeah, that's all. Thank you guys.